Ronnie.
Celia. I was watching a show, and one of the actresses name is Celia. She's there's a
Okay.
new there's a new there's a new Star Trek series called Strange New Worlds, and the young actress that plays Lieutenant Uhura is her name is Celia in real life. And I'm like,
There's
because I
not
don't see a lot of Celias. There's
there's
not a
not
lot.
too many of us. No, we're very rare. We're a rare species.
It's a very rare species. Yes. Yeah.
I was gonna say you're rocking the but then I didn't know what color it was. Your t-shirt.
Oh yeah, I would say mustard if I were to go out on a fashion.
It's a pale mustard. It's a
Yeah,
it's a Dijon.
pale Dijon, definitely Dijon.
It's a Dijon.
It's not like French's mustard with that
Yeah.
because they put a lot of turmeric in it, and that makes it like bright yellow.
Oh, is that how they do that?
Yeah, that's what they use turmeric.
Who knew?
I
All
did.
we must move on. We must always move on. So we're both feeling sadness today because our mutual dear friend just died. And I just want to say that because I think it will infuse the flavor of our talk today. Perhaps because last time we talked, you were like, oh, next time I want to talk about evolution. And I don't know what you said, something like something sentient behind it.
Yeah, it was like if we were going to talk about evolution in a sense that what gets passed along from generation to generation, and how
Yeah.
does the DNA know to do what I was bringing up? Maybe there's something sentient behind that.
Yeah,
Something.
something.
Yeah.
So what? Okay, so yeah, how does the DNA know what to do? How does a seed know what to do? How does an animal that lives in the jungle know what to do? And if so, let's talk about that. How do any of those things happen? And if there is something sentient behind it all, what in the world could it be? Like, really? Unless it's like the aliens at the end of Men in Black. You know, they're playing a game. It goes.
Oh, and they zoom all the way out, and they're just playing with marbles.
Yeah,
We're one of the
they're
marbles.
one of the marbles.
Yeah. Our whole universe is one marble. Not
Exactly.
even.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic, and there's a lot of buzz about it because someone in the you'll have to pardon me every once in a while I do that. There's a mosquito flying around my room. I went to let the
And you're
dog
trying
out.
to kill it.
I know, right?
You're not just clapping for me.
Yeah, Celia. Yay, super. Um, so what you asked, how does the seed know what to do? That's a great question. I mean, when like take a blade of grass and then at a certain time of year it goes to seed,
Yeah.
and the top of the grass grows all these little feathery seeds, and then they dry out and fall off,
Yeah.
and they fall into the earth. And then if there's enough moisture in the right environment, it sprouts. How does it know to do that? I mean, it's just, if you look at a seed, it's just a bunch of components. They're just carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms. There's like, how the hell does it know to turn into a living thing? Well, the
Exactly.
answer is DNA. There's DNA in all of those components. And the DNA is like a code. Everybody knows this. I'm not saying anything you don't know, but I mean it's like a computer code. It is a long, highly sophisticated computer code that basically says, okay, you're gonna, as soon as the pH in the soil is this, and the moisture level is this, and the temperature is this, you're going to do this, this, and this, and then you'll absorb the water and expand, and that will crack the outside of the husk, and then the germ will give more nutrients to the new seedling, and then now you need sunlight, so you better shoot a sprout up, and then it makes one leaf, and the leaf starts to take on the photons from the sun, which goes through a little electron transfer chain, as everybody knows, called photosynthesis. It makes its own sugar and it keeps growing. That's a lot of information to put in a tiny little seed,
It
right?
sure is. And it's
But
also, yes, I
go
was
ahead, go ahead. It's
I would
also
say, well, it's the scientific explanation. So you give the
right.
science and you're like, yeah, well, of course. And then you're like, but what?
But why or how? And why is that grass different than that grass, different than that grass? And why are there so many different kinds of grass?
Yeah.
Never mind trees, bananas, pineapples, and people. I mean, so I mean, DNA, it's fascinating.
It's
So this is what's really cool about it, though, is that if you're a Darwinian, then you believe that that seed got there was purely by chance, and it took millions, even billions of years to get there by trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. So in other words, there were some seeds that sprouted when the pH level and the humidity level was this. And a few of them sprouted, but that wasn't the perfect environment. So those died off and they weren't able to pass their DNA along. Whereas the ones that waited for the humidity level to be here and the temperature to be here and the pH to be here were more successful. So those ones survived. But it took millions of years to get that. Whereas if you're a Lamarckian, you would believe more that there is something thinking behind it. I don't know what, and I have nothing to back it up. But if there's something thinking behind it, it's like, yes, we're going to try all these things, but what if I change this one little piece of the DNA doink, that will help it along? If you're a pure Darwinian,
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not
yeah,
a pure.
I mean, I'm going to say you, I meant like anyone. If anyone's
I know, but how can
you believe purely in chance, that it is all chance and is there are types of radiation that come from the sun that get through the ozone layer that can damage DNA. And this is a lot of what happens, is that there'll be a mutation in the DNA and it will change the blade of grass DNA to something to make it this. And then those ones were successful and these ones weren't. I'm done.
I have a question. Can I say something? Can I talk? I'm joking. I'm kidding. Because all of this, like, this is what to me is so amazing about the magnificence of life and existence is, and I've already said it, you can give these explanations for everything. And it's still like, what the fuck? Like,
why? How? Who?
How is this even possible? How is this even happening? And what I love is, I don't know if I'm a Lamarckian. I don't know who that is, but David Bohm, I don't know if you know who he is. He talked about an implicate order behind everything. So whatever that means, he understood and worked on theories that said that that implicate order was one thing. It was not divided into all of the gazillion, bazillion, gajillion things that we see and are in the cosmos, that the implicate order was actually one thing. And so back to this idea of sentience, something thinking. I know we don't know what that is. I know we've talked about our brains can't even conceive of what that is. But if we could, in 2 minutes, what the heck could that be? Like,
and this is the big question in humanity: is there a God or not? And I mean, you know, the word God with a small g just means some divine being out there in the cosmos somewhere. Now,
yeah, I don't think we're talking about
Judeo-Christian
that, though.
terms, with a capital, it's a one thing and blah blah blah. But what if it's God behind the DNA? And like, what if that's what it's been all along?
But what is that? When you say that, when you say, what if it's God, like, what are you talking about? A person?
Something a lot smarter than us.
Something
Something
singular?
that's been around a lot longer.
Singular that's different than us? I don't buy that myself. I can't, when you understand everything that you're talking about, the science of what you're talking about, there is nothing that is not connected to itself. So when we talk about God, I want to keep insisting that we're not talking about something separate or outside of who and what we are.
fair enough. And I know exactly what you're saying. And when I say I don't know what it is, I'm not like, that's true. I don't know what it is. I like your thinking though, because then it's like, well, what if um what if God is like
It's a mosquito.
the mosquito? Yeah, well then I'm in big trouble. Like you say, everything instead of it being a separate sentient entity that's omnipotent, it is us. It is everything. It is all things. It is every atom. It is every every all the energy and all the matter and all everything and we're just a tiny little part of it. And but the whole thing, the thing in its entirety can think,
And think.
right?
And
And we
it,
can't follow along because we're just tiny little, our brains are like a fleck of dust on a grain of sand on an infinite beach.
there's a fleck of dust and a grain of sand on an infinite beach, and there's a there's a veil. I think in English language we call that ego. I think it's actually a veil that enables whatever the oneness is to separate us from it so that we can have a separate experience.
I think you're right, but I also think we're just not smart enough to figure it. Like we are not capable
Yeah.
of. I mean, you and I are speculating, but
Mm-hmm.
we would never be able to, like, until I die. I
Mm.
don't know that the being that I am right now would ever be able to comprehend the entirety of the universe. I
Yes.
mean, even with the highest technology that we have right now, we can't even see past a certain point in the universe.
Yes.
So,
Or
I mean,
beyond a
how could
certain.
we even think of it?
Exactly. So, did you see the movie Soul? It's a Disney movie, cartoon.
SOL or SO?
Soul.
No, no.
It's a Disney movie.
Is it a cartoon?
It's an animation.
Then no,
Jamie Foxx. Oh, you never watch animations?
not Disney ones.
This is quite good, I have to say. Jamie Foxx voices the guy. He's a musician. I think he's a saxophone player. He falls down a hole and dies, but is in limbo. And so there's this world that exists with all these little souls jumping down to earth. And I thought maybe you'd seen it so we could talk about it. But what I thought was kind of great about it is that Disney Channel family values. I was expecting it to have like a real religious bent toward like what heaven was and what happens out, and it's not. It's like a very scientific slash secular and really kind of a fun idea about what soul, like what a soul is and what it has to do or not do before it gets here or leaves here. Anyway, we have to end. That is all we're going to talk about today in a nutshell. Do you want to say anything about death?
No. But thank you for offering.
That's enough.
That's enough.
I don't,
Done.
I don't want to talk about souls.
But I might go and see that movie now because I have Disney Plus. I might
If you
check
have
it.
Disney Plus, you got to watch it.
I may. I
Hey,
may. I may not.
next time we'll get your review on Soul. Yes, please. I'm going to give you a quiz.
Okay, fine.
Goodbye.